So you're the Office of Impact Analysis.
Yes, Joanna Abayaratna, the Executive Director of the Office of
Okay.
Analysis.
Thanks for coming. So in broad terms, your role is to do quality assurance effectively on the bills that the government wants to pass as laws in terms of the regulatory cost.
So, Senator, the Office of Impact Analysis administers the government's impact analysis framework, which is available on the Office of Impact Analysis website.
Mm-hmm.
So our role is to work in agencies in administering that, which involves making decisions around triggering an impact analysis, so which policy proposals require an impact analysis, as well as part of our role is assessing the quality of the of impact analysis coming forward.
Okay, so in lay terms, effectively a minister or a department has to provide an impact analysis when they're bringing forward a new policy proposal. Is that right?
Partly, Senator. I'll just clarify a bit. So an impact analysis under the framework, the government's framework, an impact analysis is required for any policy or proposal coming forward to government that has an expectation of compliance and a more than minor impact on people, businesses or the community.
And again, in lay terms, is it reasonable for me to assert that this is designed to be a restraint on unnecessary red tape?
So part of the framework is to look at the regulatory burden changes, both positive and negative, and part of the requirements of the framework is that departments will develop an estimate of the regulatory burden changes associated with the policy. The framework also asks departments to consider the broader impacts of that proposal.
Okay, so effectively, if there is a new proposal, the department has to do the impact analysis and present it to your agency.
Yes, Senator. So that what they would do is they would provide it to the decision maker, and they'd have to reach out to the office to assess the quality. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you then look at that and say this is a good impact analysis or a bad impact analysis?
So, Senator, yes, as you said before, part of the role of the office is to assess the quality of that analysis. We also provide training and workshops, and in doing that, we look at the 7 questions in the guide that talk about what would make a good quality impact analysis, and we have a rubric that works through those 7 questions. Yeah.
That sounds very, very bureaucratic, but okay, great. So then you only look at the flows of regulation, don't you? You don't look at the overall stock?
That's correct, Senator. So we look at proposals coming forward. Yeah.
Okay. So if I asked you how many laws are on the books, that's not a question for you?
No, Senator.
Okay, but I could ask you how many laws did the government pass in the last parliament?
I'd have to take that on notice in terms of I don't have that information with me, but our policy process, we'd engage with agencies through that policy development up until legislation process.
Okay. The answer is about 400. And as part of that 400 new laws passing the parliament, of course, there were these impact analyses done. So what's your general sense of these flows over the last few years? Are we getting more expensive compliance costs, or are we reducing compliance costs and red tape in Australia?
So, Senator, when an impact analysis is required, it's published once announced onto our website. So the role of the office is to provide, part of the role is to provide transparency once a decision's made about when an impact analysis is required, and it's announced, it's published on our website. So it's transparent about what those particular estimates by the department around the regulatory burden changes were.
Okay, but do you look at the overall impact of this new regulation, new red tape?
So for the flow of estimates, Senator, we provide some compliance summary reports on our website that, based on the information provided by departments on the estimated regulatory burden changes, we provide some summary information.
Okay. So of those 400 new laws, how many of those did you send back to the drawing board?
Senator, I'm not quite sure what you mean by the question, but what we would do is we'd engage with agencies over the process. So we'd provide an initial assessment with comments to the agency around how we think the impact analysis could be improved, and then we provide a final assessment, and that final assessment is that rating by the OA is published.
Right. Because there is, like, objectively, according to your own department's data, a lot of new red tape. There's the 400 new laws, which, according to your department, cost $4.6 billion in the last parliament. Surely some of these you sent back to the keeper or sent back to the bowler and said, look, this is way too expensive. The country can't afford this level of red tape and ridiculousness. Can you please find a better way to do it or don't do it at all? How many times did you do that?
So, Senator, we would engage with departments multiple times on an impact analysis. So, you know, in terms of an impact analysis, our role is to support them in developing a quality of analysis that meets the framework, the Australian Government's Guide to Policy Impact Analysis.
So what about getting rid of red tape?
So it's not the role of the agency, of the office, to provide advice about should policy proposals go forward or not.
So who in Australia is going to get rid of red tape then? Because I'm worried that this has become a bureaucratic nightmare. If it's a bureaucracy trying to stop red tape, can't get rid of red tape, who will?
So, Senator, the Department of Finance is in charge of regulatory policy more broadly, and maybe your questions are best directed there.
Right, so you receive proposals from departments and ministers. They give you a piece of paper that says, here's how much we think it's going to cost industry. And then you say, this is a good analysis or a bad analysis, or what do you say? You engage with them. How many times have you said to them, this is rubbish?
So, Senator, we'd engage multiple times in developing analysis, and then we publish our final ratings on the website, along with associated with the impact analysis.
Now, how many have you sent back? And you said, there's no way this can be justified, the cost.
So in terms of, we have multiple ratings in terms of final insufficiencies. I'll just have to get that.
Thank you. Because surely, like 1 in 400 would have to be knocked back. Surely there's a few that are no good.
So in 25-26, so this year to date, we've had, or this financial year to date, we've had 1 insufficiency.
1 out of 400?
So, Senator, not all 400, not every policy that comes forward or legislation will require an impact analysis. Would have to pass that.
So you sent back 1.
Threshold.
Who did you send that back to?
So so we'd work, it's a departmental document, the impact analysis. So again, we'd work with the department,
Right.
you know, iteratively as they develop the impact assessment.
I bet it was Mr. Chalmers, was it? Was it him?
For the ones insufficiency.
Yeah. Was it him? He loves red tape. Was it him?
Senator?
Early warning, Senator Bragg.
I'm just trying to work out where it came from.
Well, no, you're trying to
Where the
make
missile came from.
no, you're trying to make a political point as well. It
Well,
just
he
puts
likes
it puts the public servant in a difficult position if you ask them to respond to something after you say that.
Well, let's just see
Just
where
be
it came
polite.
from.
So again, Senator, all our assessments for finalised impact analysis are published on our website. So all that information is available publicly.
But do you know
And I
where...
will just say there's a lot of very useful resources there,
I've read the
Senator Bragg.
website. It's good website.
So then
But
very
To ask
good.
the question.
can't you just tell me who it was?
Well, it's on the website, mate. She just told you that.
Well, I'm
Why
in the
don't you
middle of
look
a
at that?
hearing. I don't want to be rude to the...
No, why don't you look at the publicly available information
Well, because I'm
that you say
hearing
you
some
read all the
estimates.
time?
Can you remember where it came from?
So that particular one was from the Department of Social Services.
Social Services, okay. I thought it might have been Treasury. Okay, so 1 out of 400, and did it end up being modified so it could be satisfactory or not? Or did it never came back?
So the information around that, we do have a web post that talks about the insufficiency in that case. So under the guide, when a impact analysis is insufficient, that's the OIA's assessment of the process. Right. It doesn't necessarily stop a decision going forward.
All right. So what about the YouTube ban? Did you look at that one?
Excuse me, the social. What
the
are you
government
referring
passed
to,
legislation to ban YouTube and other
I thought
streaming.
you supported that.
Well, the YouTube thing seems particularly bizarre to me.
But I thought you supported that.
But did you look at the YouTube
So
one?
it isn't the opposition's position.
Are
that
you asking
support
me
that?
questions or am I
Well,
asking
just
you?
confusing that you're asking questions about something that I thought you supported.
I think the social media issue is quite separate from streaming. I don't think we live in a country where we're supposed to be, blocking and...
So is this the Andrew Bragg or the Susan Lee version?
Again, are you asking me questions?
Well, just
or am I allowed to ask
I'm
the
just trying to
official?
understand what the opposition's position is.
Well, I'm just trying to understand how this all came about, that you could have potentially very expensive and very convoluted policy pass through the Office of Impact Analysis. So did you look at the YouTube ban?
So you're referring to the social media ban
Yeah.
for under 16. There is an impact analysis equivalent process on the website that relates to that.
Yeah, and do you remember what sort of interaction you had with the department about that one?
I don't recall, Senator.
Right. Well, could you take it on notice, please?
Yes, Senator.
Whether you can provide any further information, because I'd like to know whether there was any analysis done on how this particular arrangement could be enforced and whether the cost estimates alongside it would be reliable. Finally, can I just ask, Chair, how many people work in your area at the moment?
Senator, the current headcount is 14 staff members.
40. So that's down from 20, yeah? A couple of years ago?
Which particular year are you referring to, Senator?
Which year? 2022? You lost a few of you?
So 22-23 financial year, there was 20.3 actual ASL.
Yeah. Have you got enough people to check on all these new pieces of red tape the government wants to push through?
Maybe rephrase that question, Senator Bragg.
Well, do you have enough resources? I'm worried the government isn't giving you enough people to check on their mad re-regulation of the economy.
You can't.
Again, Senator Bragg,
Okay.
I will
No, you
ask you to
can't.
rephrase your question.
Even
might
Senator
make you-
David Pocock is shaking. He said you can't put that to a public servant.
I think he agrees with me, actually.
Well, if he's a Canberra senator for deregulation, go
Well,
for it.
I'm
mate.
arguing
But
for
I'm
more
just
jobs.
making the point, you can't put to a public servant the question in the loaded terms you have.
Yeah, well, I think he agrees with me because there'll be more jobs in Canberra.
And
Oh
on
my
that point,
goodness.
Senator Bragg, do you have a final question before we rotate the call to your colleague in arms at the other end?
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing his questions, but I guess my question, if I'm allowed to ask it in the way that I would like to, is...
With all the respect in the world for the public servants who are going to answer it.
Yeah, well, I want more of them to be doing good work. Do you have enough workers?
Senator, we meet in a way demand driven. So what proposals come forward, we assess those, and we work with departments. Yeah. And we maintain that flow.
So you're happy with the resources you've got? You think you can do the job?
So we meet we work to meet and support departments and the government in making decisions.
I guess my time's expired.
Thank you, Senator Bragg. Senator Pocock.
Thank you, Chair. I've got some